Hi guys, rise and shine. We grind, we are all fine, and the sun shines for yours and mine. My name is Tyrone, and welcome back to my show. Today, I want to touch up on recovery and damage. Um, this one has stuck out to me the most, and this was something that I actually had to pray to God for, because I've written about so many good things, but I kind of didn't I kind of didn't have an idea this time of what I wanted to write about. So this time I wanted to touch up on recovery and damage, but I feel like I wanted to touch up on this because there are so many of us, millions of us, if I'm billions of us that go through recovery and damage, and this not only happens in the physicality form, but this happens within emotional aspects such as relationships. You go through a relationship, there's most likely a point in your life where you have to recover from certain things that you've experienced, and relationships could be mother, father, boyfriend, girlfriend, stuff like that. And there are just many forms of recovery and also many forms of damage. There are certain wounds that a lot of people find difficult to try to overcome. And I'm here to say that there's only a limit to what we put in our lives. If we have a specific limit, such as, oh, I can't do it, that's putting a limit on yourself. That's putting a limit on God and what God can do and what He can change around for your life, and it's important for us to know that as so long as we have God, we have the spirit of peace. Galatians chapter 5 verse 20 through 23 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law." Meaning that if there is no spirit of peace, there is no kindness, there is no faithfulness, there is no gentleness, there is no goodness, there aren't any of those things positively surrounding you, because you are surrounded by things that could be damaging you. And it's important for us to pray when it comes to these moments, because there are definitely a lot of things as human beings that we go through. And I just want to touch up on the definition for recovery and damage before I touch up on anything else. And I feel that recovery is the healing process, or the healing progress. It's the healing progress, or the process of healing someone, or something physically, mentally, or emotionally. There can also be steps taken towards recuperation or recovery, which would define recovery, and it's important for us to find things. Sometimes we can't always go to a doctor, sometimes it's not always physical. Sometimes we didn't break an arm or a leg, God forbid, but there are other times where there are certain things that mess with us mentally, and the best things for us to do would be to go and speak to a therapist. And sometimes the therapist doesn't help because we're getting the same things that we're being, that but it's like sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. And when it doesn't, that's when the time you need to find strategies to come up with in order for you to help, or in order for it to help you, excuse me. It's really important when it comes to recovery, because I feel like I'm recovering from a whole lot of things that I've dealt with in my life, whether it be narcissistic relationships, whether it be learning how to not give up, learning how to always come up with strategies to come up with the best form of myself, but also healing within the process. It's important for us to take care of ourselves. Sometimes we go on with all of the things within our lives, and sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves within the process, and it's important for us to take care of us mentally, physically, emotionally. Emotionally is one important thing that I always say. Even though emotions would be tied to the mental, I feel that emotions are can be differentiated by a different form of expression. You know, there's when it comes to mental damage or mental no, not mental damage, mental recovery, it's imperatively important for us to mentally recover, because when the mental is not good, how are we going to be able to perform all of the things that we come to know and love? Some of the things that we love to do, how are we going to be able to perform them if our mental is not good? And that's a major thing. That's why nowadays you pray. That's why nowadays you have healing sessions where you know what I mean, where there are many avocational speakers that put you around in a circle, and you kind of talk about different things that have happened. And sometimes it's beneficial for people, sometimes it could be beneficial. But most important thing is that we find things to help us. We find things to help us recover. We find things to help us heal in every way, shape, and form. When it comes to damage, damage is something that can be detrimental. But I feel that it's not that it can be detrimental, it is detrimental. Damage is detrimental because it's already done. But especially towards oneself, I feel that substance, place, or person that can harm physically, mentally, or emotionally, and there are different forms of damage. I just named a couple, which would be physical harm, relationship wise, because sometimes a lot of people, I realize a lot of people have big empathetic hearts. And when it comes to stuff like that, it's important for us to realize that verbal aspects of how we handle things, sometimes it messes with us, as human beings, because words, we always say that sticks and stones break my bones, but words may never hurt me. A lot of people don't get that expression in the way where certain people were taught, and we have to watch what we say, because like God said, we are punished for what we say and what we do. We are punished and we are rewarded for what we say and what we do. And it's important, excuse me if I rephrase that wrong, but it's important for us to realize that damage is something that can affect us, not for the greater good like recovery can. When we are able to recuperate ourselves, when we are able to regenerate every cell in our body, when we are able to regenerate our energy, when we are able to recuperate everything about us, that is when you start to see a positive shift within our lives. You start to see everything positively shifting. You start to see a difference within your walk. You start to feel the difference within your talk. You start to absorb information differently when you're recovering, because I feel that when you're in a state of damage, you don't want to listen to anything. When you're in a state of damage, sometimes it's hard for people to think about other than what they're going through, and that's where at that point need to come up with ways on how to heal. Like, I'm learning strategies as I'm talking, trying to figure out how not to pause so much, But I point these things out as I go along about myself because I realize it might be helping somebody else along their journey. And I want to be able to just say that they're not alone. I understand that there are a lot of people that deal with a whole lot of things that can be that they're recovering from and that could have been damaging. But I'm here to say, it's it's going to be okay. God has you, and you need to just pray, and you need to take everything one step at a time. And I also want to add in terms of damage, damage and recovery. Recovery is the process to help you heal. And it is an evident part of healing because it helps you return back to the best version of yourself. When you are training, this will be the easiest example. When you're a football player and you got hurt, you maybe hurt your leg, hurt your arm, or whatever, and you're training that part of your body. You're training, going through intense courses and just trying to train. That would be a sense of recovery. That would be able to define recovery, and a lot of us are going through recovery, and then many of us are, damaged trying to find ways of recovery. you know the best thing that I would be able to say and that I would be able to offer is, if you personally don't know, then it's definitely best to ask for help. It's always best to ask for help when it comes to anything that you go through. um, I feel that damage can lead back to the same habits, the same attributes, and it could also lead back to the same bad things that potentially harmed you or others. And that basically just leads into what you might be going through. Sometimes we are going through things and we don't know that it's affecting our environment. Sometimes what we put out into the atmosphere can definitely be the effect. I mean, could be the cause to the effect. And it's important for us to be able to handle those things the best way, in the best way possible, so that we can find a solution. And I'm going through a point in my life where I'm going through my own form of recovery myself. That's why this topic is kind of a little bit more deeper for me. It's deeper, but I also feel that is a little bit more easier to explain. But I've went through points in my life where I feel like I wanted to just full on, give up. There were times where I felt like I just wanted to just feed back into the things that are no good for me. And the ways I've gotten myself up out of that was to always put a positive attitude on my face every day. Even if it was to do these videos, because making these videos and just looking at the past versions of myself through each video, because we all evolve every day, it has majorly helped me within a way, especially when because often sometimes we don't realize the things that we lack. And I think at that point in my life, when I was doing the videos, I didn't know what I was lacking. But as I kept up with it and I didn't give up, I realized there were certain things that I was learning, and it just became so helpful to me, you know. And the best thing that could have came out of that was different responses and different reactions, and learning how to evaluate everything overall. I feel like reaction was definitely my main thing when it came to things damaged. When I was at a damaged point in my life, I felt like reaction was something that I needed to recover from. Because sometimes our versions of ourselves that we have are not the best versions, and sometimes they could lead you into that damaging place. And that's why it's important for us to just kind of find things to help us recover. One thing that I can honestly say throughout my life is that God is with me throughout every journey, and He is with you throughout every journey. He is with everyone throughout each and every one of their journeys. And He watches over us very closely, I can say, you know. And I'm just grateful. I'm at a grateful point in my life where I'm just alive, you know. It's a beautiful thing when you can just experience, or when you can be grateful for life. And I think being grateful has been one of the many things that has taught me, or that has not taught me, but had a full-on effect on my recovery, you know. And I pray that everybody that needs recovering can recover from whatever that they may be going through, you know. I don't want to make this video too long, guys, or too, you know, emotional, but I love you guys. If this was a helpful video, please leave a oh, excuse me for a second. And when it comes to recovery, I'm sorry if I cut that off, but I wanted to talk about this because I felt like it was important. The more you heal, the more you can deflect things you didn't think you can overcome. Meaning that those trials and tribulations that you might have been going through, when you're able to recover from that, and when you're able to heal yourself, you're able to come back with a different response. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You're able to react differently, and you're able to deflect whatever negative energy that person, place, or thing might display to you. And recovery is just beneficial. It's beneficial for us because it teaches us for those tests that God gives us, and it teaches us how to handle them. And when it comes to more damage, you are more than likely to head into the things that you used to, or that you're used to. You know, it's like if you're used to certain addictions, if you're used to certain things happening in your life, or you're used to this, you're used to that, then that's what you're going to be used to. And a lot of damaged people, they go back to the same people, the same places, the same things, and it's not beneficial for their lives, and it just puts them in a very dark space. So it's important for us to realize that recovery is important for physical, mental, and emotional health. And damage, if you are damaged in any way, shape, or form, the best way to handle that would be to acknowledge it first, and then being able to, if you can't yourself, have a friend, a therapist, or a doctor speak with you and identify what might be going on, so you can find a resolution to that problem. Because, and I speak like that in terms of mental. I speak like that in terms of mental because not a lot of us go and we speak to people about it. And it took me a long time to be able to go and speak to somebody, even if it was a family member, and just being able to let all of those things out to people who can understand or can cultivate an understanding of where you're coming from can definitely release all forms of things that you might be going through. Now, I hope that this was a blessing to you guys, and if it was, please leave a thumbs up, and please like, comment, share. Please subscribe and click on the little notifications link. Love you guys. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and see you on the next one.